Yeah, folks, I have the privilege of talking to Mr. Martin George. I do very often have this opportunity. The man seems to be a very busy man. You know, some people call him frequent flyer. 1 minute in Tobago, Trinidad, Miami, Europe, and so on. Where you come back last night where was?
I was in Fort Lauderdale.
You see what I mean? Yeah, but we're always happy to have you on the program. We thought we'd have you last week.
Good morning, Tobago, and good morning to your viewers.
Yeah, you're always a pleasure. But Martin, you know, there's a lot of things happening, and we talk crime and everybody getting uncomfortable with the situation with respect to crime. We know you are a member of the Police Service Commission, right? That's correct. Yeah, and you're a member of the team or the board, and so on. What is happening with the Police Service Commission? What is their role? Give the viewers an opportunity to understand what is the Commission's role with respect to dealing with police matters.
Well, our constitutional mandate is that we are in charge of monitoring and evaluating the performance of the executive of the police service. We are also charged with the responsibility to deal with appointments and promotions at the executive level. So we can appoint the deputy commissioners of police, the commissioner of police. We monitor and evaluate how they perform in their roles and functions. So therefore, we provide reports which we submit to the president. We also do an annual report which is available to the public, and we do continuous assessment and evaluation of the commissioner and the deputy commissioners. So we also them on a regular basis in terms of certain aspects of how they are managing their portfolio in terms of crime, police management of road traffic situations, that kind of thing. So it's an ongoing process. So therefore, we actually have a permanent secretariat which services the Police Service Commission, which is unlike most of the other service commissions. So in other words, you have the Judicial and Legal Service Commission, the Public Service Commission, the Teaching Service Commission. But because of the ongoing nature of our function, which is continuous monitoring and evaluation, we have a permanent secretariat, although I don't know for how long we will have it, because it's clear that there are some financial challenges in terms of, keeping on some of our staff.
I understand. My sources tell me that you all have like 18 or 20 employees, and they're going to reduce it to about 5 or 4.
Well,
is there any truth in that?
Jerry,
it's somewhat more political than administrative.
Actually, it's administrative, and it's embarrassing, because when one considers the fact that you have
Commission that you don't have sufficient finances to keep on certain members of staff, then how are we to function? It is really something that we have no control over, but yet still these administrative decisions are taken without our input and without us having any decision making in respect of them.
The position, how many members you have on the commission?
It's 5 members,
and they come on and off at different times.
That's right. Yes. So right now we have 3 members who are due at the end of November, myself included. Our term comes to an end at the end of this month. Yes. So,
and then the other 2?
So 2 will remain, but of course that does not constitute sufficient to make a quorum. So I hope that the authorities are acting on that even as we speak, so that you don't have this time lag, because in the past what we've had is several months, almost a year, where they take so long to appoint new members. So I hope that they are aware of the scenario and that steps are being taken to make adjustments for the replacements.
Yeah. So how you all view the situation with respect to policing and crime and monitoring and evaluating the executive of the police service? How you all feel? You feel you've been doing a reasonably good job in spite of the challenges and the circumstances?
Well, yes, in spite of the challenges, we've been doing an excellent job based on what we have to work with. And I'll tell you why, Jerry. Part of the problem we have is that the way it's structured, a lot of the actual information we have to work with comes from the police service itself. And we have constantly said that that is inadequate and inappropriate. So in other words, say for instance, management of their finances. We have to wait until we get a report from the police service, which will then tell us how they've spent their money, what they've spent it on. But we don't have the resources in terms of the manpower to be able to go in there. In other words, we would need auditors, accountants on our staff who can go in there,
and
go
verify
to the source documents. All we end up basically evaluating is reports generated by the police service itself. So it really, has us hamstrung in that regard, in that we need to be able to go in and make a more in-depth analysis and get to the source of all your reports and all your documents, see the feed material that generated your reports to be able to tally and double check those things. Unfortunately, that is not possible because we just don't have the staff. So in other words, it's a major exercise which is required if we are to fully do a total and holistic analysis of the police service and its functioning.
One gets the impression after your comments now that you're in a kind of administrative doldrums. You're hardly going anywhere given the constraints.
Well, the thing is, Jerry, unfortunately, that's the structure as it is now. It clearly needs to be changed in that we ought to have the power to be able to actually go in and go behind the numbers and the statistics, because as you see, the police service generally trots out statistics at their press conferences and their numbers, which they themselves generate from their source material. But the thing is, we need to be able to go behind the numbers, and that has always been the challenge because, as I say, we don't have that staffing. We would need statisticians on board who would be able to analyze and say, well, hey, listen, even how you calculated, how you came up with these numbers, it's skewed because the easiest way for someone to present, skewed or distorted information is by the use of statistics, because it depends on how you compare it. Sometimes you notice the way they put out information, they say, well, look, compared to 3 years ago, murders have decreased. So why are you choosing a point in time 3 years ago? But of course, conveniently, to make the statistics look good, that's how they do it. But we need to be able to say, well, hey, listen, no, look at it over a 5-year period. Has there been an increase or, that kind of thing? So these are the things we would love to do, and we would love to be able to get more in-depth analysis so that we can now report back to the public. So therefore, we'll be able to generate reports which the public will be able to say, hey, listen, if you look at this and you compare this, then clearly they have been doing good or they have not been doing good. So that's what we would like to have the opportunity to do.
You all have any role in recommending or arranging for the appointment of a police commissioner?
Oh, yes. That is
what is
one
your,
of our core functions.
Yeah,
in
but
fact,
you told
right
me that
now,
you had to deal with the executive, but not particularly the commissioner.
Right, well, the executive, it comprises also the commissioner and the deputy commissioners. Right now we are engaged in that exercise. We've put out advertisements for
give us an idea quickly what's supposed to happen
for
the appointment.
All right, it's an involved process. First, we have to do the advertisement. We have to do the request for proposals.
From who? For a recruiter?
For firms who can now bid to conduct the recruitment process. Then there's the design of the recruitment process. So in other words, it's a whole thing. You have to arrange, for instance, flights, airfare, accommodation, because you'll have international persons who are coming to be chosen or selected, right? You then have to arrange psychometric testing. You have to arrange...
You're going a little too fast. who have to arrange what? We're talking about recruiting a firm, right? And after the recruitment of the firm, you're talking that.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So you have to, advertisement have to go out for firms who would want to be.
So then the bids come in. Right. You evaluate the bids from the firms. When a firm is selected from those bids, then now you put out the contract for that firm. Right? Because you remember the bids first, you choose a firm, then now you work out the nuts and bolts with that particular firm. Then
with the selected firm.
The selected firm.
Oh, okay.
Then when that firm has been selected and you have your contract in place, then now you get into the nuts and bolts of all these arrangements that have to make. You have to arrange for medicals, because all the candidates will have to submit medical exams. Then you'll have to have the vetting and verification of their certification.
And those are the applicants now?
That's the applicants. So in other words, if someone comes from, say, New Zealand, and they say they have a certificate from this university or this college, so you now have to do all the fact checking and the background checking.
So the people and them have to come in person to be, you can't do it
for
online?
The interviews, they have to be here in person. Okay. Because what you have is not just individual sessions, you also have group sessions, whereby in a group setting, you may have like, say, 10 of them, and you give them like problem solving to see how they work.
That's all part of the psychometric evaluation.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. But so when that is done, we have another minute or so before the break. When that is done and you select your people, you pay your people to come in and so on for a couple of days to be interviewed, to have the psychometric testing and evaluation done. What happens after that?
Right. So then now a shortlist is created. Right?
And you create the recruiting firm.
That's right. The firm creates the shortlist. That shortlist is then sent to us. We then now go through all the results, and from the shortlist, a selection is made.
A recommendation is made, or a selection?
No, a selection is made. And then from that selection, we then send it forth for a recommendation to be made.
Who will make the recommendation?
The recommendation comes from us, ultimately.
Oh, so you sending that forward with your recommendation.
That's right.
That Mr. Jerry McFarlane is recommended.
Right. Yes.
He's the best candidate given what he's done, did well in psychometric, whatnot and whatnot.
Right. And then remember now, you still now have to go to the Parliament for the final stamp.
So it goes from you, it goes to the Minister of National Security or the Prime Minister?
Our report would go to the Minister of National Security as a line minister, and then of course to the Prime Minister.
And then cabinet sits on it. And what cabinet does? They can say yes or no?
Right. And then now remember you have the Parliament.
And there is where the bacchanal is.
Right. Yes.
All right. So the cabinet could say, listen, are we going with the recommendation of the commission?
Right.
Or I'm going with this next person after that?
Well, no.
They can decide.
No, that's it. The thing is, it can be a situation where if there is no agreement on the selected person, then now you go back into the pool. However...
And that is you, the commission, going back into the pool?
The commission has to go back.
Because the recruiter or the recruiting firm is out of the business after they do
That's right, yes.
Okay. And when you go to Parliament now, there is where the thing is that they have to agree.
And all the discussion.
And special majority agreeing and so on.
Right.
And the Prime Minister will have any veto powers?
Well, the thing is, what they've done, they've actually removed the veto power of the Prime Minister, and they've reduced it to now a simple parliamentary majority. Right?
Oh, really?
So whoever the government is, who has the majority, obviously they would be expected to carry the day.
Oh, so it's not that difficult political process anymore.
Right. The Prime Ministerial veto has been removed, but it's the parliamentary majority that...
Oh, and it's not a special majority?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a special majority. So the thing is just a long and convoluted process.
That's the thing. As I've said before, it is more difficult in Trinidad and Tobago to appoint a commissioner of police than it is to appoint a president, than to appoint a prime minister, than to appoint a chief justice. This is the only post that requires such an involved and convoluted process.
All right. Martin, we stay on that. We go for a break, and when we come back, we talk. We go for a break, viewers, and we come back and continue chatting with Martin George. Yes, we're back. You're looking at Rise and Shine on Tobago Channel 5, and we have a very proud and distinguished guest, Martin George, no stranger to us here. And we continue chatting about the situation, but that we'll continue chatting about that another time, because we have an idea, a better idea now what is to happen for the appointment of a commissioner of police. I thought you had to have a special majority to approve it in the parliament, but it's just that the process is so long.
That's the point. That's the point. Yeah.
But Martin, I want you to come home now and look at the situation with politics in Tobago and how it's going. We have an election. is, we could see almost around the corner. It'll be sometime between January and February. You know, given the fact that it was, House was dissolved about a week ago.
Yes.
You know, so given that 2 months or 3 months period, election is likely to be either late January or late February. How you see the political thing shaping up?
Well, Jerry, as it stands right now, I think Tobago is really impaled on the horns of a dilemma, because you are locked between a choice you do not want to keep and other choices that you don't want to put. And that's really the dilemma that we have in Tobago. Because in other words, I think when one looks at it for the past 16 years, I really do not think we can see the justification from the incumbent party as to what they have done sufficiently to develop Tobago, given the extent of the resources that they've had available. So I think in any circumstance, you would have persons saying, hey, listen, we've had enough, let's give someone else a try. But then when you look at the landscape and you look at the choices that are there, I think the result again will be a PNM victory, because I don't think you have any strong contender, sufficiently strong to be able to carry the day to say that they will get a majority of the 12 seats. Other than
give me the impression that you're not happy with the new political leader.
When you say the new political leader?
The new PNM's political leader. You say there don't seem to be anybody strong enough to carry the
No,
party.
I'm saying in terms of the opposition forces. In terms of the opposition forces, you know, that's the unfortunate reality, you know. So the thing is, I can't see Tobago making any significant progress over the next 4 years, because the point is, the incumbent PNM, I think they're bereft of ideas. They have absolutely no vision for taking Tobago forward. They do not possess the wherewithal or the institutional strengths or capabilities to be able to have that vision, to be able to take Tobago to a higher place. So therefore, it's going to be more of the same, basically marking time for the next 4 years, and you will probably see a further decline in Tobago. And the choices that Tobagonians have, when you look at the landscape, you have the Tobago Forwards, you have the PDP, the Progressive Democratic Party. I don't know if these persons, I don't know if TOP is going to eventually throw their hats in the ring, or the MDD, Movement for Democracy.
Eugene Job?
Yeah. No, that's not Eugene Job. That's Vanas James, I think, and some others had that group in the MDD. Then you also have Eugene Job, who launched a party. So the thing is, you have lots of disparate groups that are there on the political landscape contending for the title. And if you look at them, everybody wants to be chief. Everybody wants to be leader. Nobody wants to be a worker in the field. So in other words, it's all a scenario where you have persons striving, I guess, for their own political ambitions, their own personal ambitions, for leadership roles, but yet still no one has that gravitas to be able to say, well, look, my vision for the development of Tobago is something that can attract across the board, because you need to, if you are coming from the opposition side and you want to challenge, you need to be able to attract the hardcore PNM supporters to your vision. Otherwise, if they stick to voting for their party, the PNM will win as it has been predicted. And that's the prediction I would make. That
but there are a number of situations, as we've been looking at around the world, where people, you think the party who would win, or whether it's with the Brexit situation
or with the US elections. Right.
US
yes,
election. Or even the one in Greece some months ago.
Yes, I appreciate that.
People feel, and the polls indicate that this might go this particular way.
And then sometimes it could be different.
And it's quite different, and that could be worrying for the PNM.
I fully accept that. However, I think when one looks at the status quo of what is operating in Tobago, and because of the absence of a clearly defined choice in the alternative. I think that's the problem, because you see, you have so many different groupings. I mean, we don't even know what the Platform for Truth will do, Mr. Ho-Choi Charles. He may decide again to throw his hat in the ring, you know, because in Trinidad and Tobago, politicians, they never retire. They have to die. That's the only time they get off the scene, you know. So the thing is, because it is so divided on the opposition side, I think we will see the PNM carrying the day. If it were a straight one-on-one fight, I would accept your argument that there's a chance that, look, something can happen in terms of an upset. But as it is, because of the multiple divisions in the opposition, you know, camp, I cannot see there being any result other than a PNM victory.
Yeah, but I gather that you were part of a group that was looking to bring the parties together, or working with one of the opposition parties. You couldn't turn around things and get things moving in a particular direction?
Well, I've been part of trying to get persons in Tobago to have mature, rational conversations about the development of Tobago, Jerry. And it cuts across party lines. It has nothing to do with any particular party or anything of this sort. You know, so various persons from various parties have approached me. I've tried to facilitate discussions. I've tried to speak with people. And I've played that role in trying to assist for the greater development of Tobago. Because, you see, we must look beyond the narrow partisan lines. After the election day, we are all Tobagonians together. So in other words, we must move beyond this tit for tat and this us and them scenario. That has been part of the downfall of Tobago, because we've seen so much spite and victimization that has occurred over the past few years, in terms of, if you are not supposed to be aligned with the ruling party, then you are made to suffer and bear the brunt of that suffering. And that cannot be good for the development of
You
Tobago.
sound like a desperate opposition person. I mean, you have details and information with respect to that. I'm sure you've been talking about this thing even before the last DHA election, and then there was this overwhelming support for the PNM. So where you get this thing from? I mean, who is pressuring who? And in spite of that, you have this overwhelming support for the PNM on the last occasion.
Right. Well, the thing is, this is not based on speculation. Some of the matters we've actually carried to court are based on facts, where persons have been victimized, where they have been discriminated against simply because they have not been in favor with the ruling party. So this is fact-based. This is not speculation or, you know, saying it off the top of my head. So there has been a pattern whereby this has occurred, and it has not been good for Tobago, because you cannot, in a small island, I mean, of 50,000 people, if you are so divided, then what is your way forward? So therefore, we need to rise above that after the election. And this is what I'm saying. On the hustings, of course, people will say all sorts of things and do all sorts of things. But look at the example we have from Barack Obama. Look at how gracious and statesmanlike he has been, even in the face of the defeat of his party, because he has said, look, basically, let's put America first. Let's put the country first. Can our politicians ever be so mature? When will they show that level of maturity and statesmanship and say, well, look, let's come together for the good of the nation? Even Hillary Clinton, I mean, she must have been in tears the night of that defeat. However, the following day, she was able to compose herself and give a very gracious acceptance speech. And she actually said that, you know, she hoped that the president would succeed because it's good for America. And that's what we need to look at. We need to look at that type of scenario here in Tobago and say, well, look, regardless of which political camp you're in, let us see what is best for Tobago. But nobody's looking at that. Everybody's looking at their narrow partisan political interest.
Anyway, Martin, I mean, I want to have you back sometime on either my program or this program, we talk, not following up on that, what is happening with judiciary and justice in Trinidad and Tobago. That is a serious issue, and I think people are suffering there more than these political accusations that maybe you're making. All right, thank you very much. This has been a nice one.
All right, thank you.
I'll be talking to Martin George, attorney at law, and of course, a member of the Police Service Commission, and his membership will be, his term come to an end at the end of this month, he and others. So we see what happens after that. We go for a break and come back with morning news.